Let's get on to other stories. Caterers under the school feeding program say they will not yield to intimidation to resume work. For about 3 weeks, the caterers have withdrawn their services in demand for payment of arrears and an increase of the cooking grant per child from 97 pesos to 3 cedis. They want leadership of the program to desist from issuing threats in addressing their challenges. Nana Aljima has more.
Representatives of caterers from other regions joined those in Ashanti for the press conference. About a week before the group withdrew their services, they received the first term payment of the same year, an amount they say does not cover the full term. Most caterers say they are being chased by the suppliers and banks where they secured loans for the contract. They are unwilling to return to cooking for the pupils.
Mrs. Kwashiga is provoking us that this kind of job is a sacrificial job and is the work of God. And we want to tell her that God hasn't called us to come and preach to the children. And we cannot go and borrow to come and cook for the children for free. We are fed up. We want our money and we want an increment. And they should also stop telling the caterers that we don't have any right to talk. We want to tell her that we have every right because we all work for the government to come to power. And so we need our money. We need it. Without the money, we are not going back to cook.
Many of the caterers were contracted to serve hot meals in schools in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Some of the caterers are still owed by the government. She says, we were contracted to cook for the pupils in junior high school within the COVID-19 era. We did the work satisfactorily. We were made to add an egg to every meal. To date, some of us haven't been paid. Meanwhile, the caterers are pointing to some anomalies in the school feeding program and have called for an audit.
There are a lot of ghost names, ghost schools. That ghost schools, we want you to go deeper into it and bring that evidence out because there are kululu over there, ghost names, thousands of ghost names. They should stop doing that. They are causing financial loss to the state. We are telling them.
Deductions, the illegal deduction by the secretariat. Madam is my head of school. She monitors me what I do every day. And she forwarded the information to Accra. Now Accra says that I did not cook. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Our caterers are suffering, and it has a serious political consequences for the government if they will not clean up the secretariat. Over 11,000 caterers are suffering, and the government says because of one person or two people at the secretariat, they don't care. Government will live to regret if they don't address this issue urgently.
For JoyNews, Nana Aljima, Kumasi.
Let's go to the Ashanti region and speak with Nana Boachi, who's been visiting some schools. Nana, tell us, from the schools that you visited, what's the impact of the absence of the caterers?
Okay, thank you very much, Aisha. This morning, we've been to some of the basic schools in the Ashanti region to check up on the impact of this situation after caterers boycotted cooking for pupils in some of the schools in the region. We've spoken to some of the school authorities and then parents who are key stakeholders in these matters. What we realize is that today some of the schools, some of the caterers in some of these basic schools have resumed work. A school like the State Experimental Basic School 2 and Basic School 1, and then also the Aida Basic School, some of the caterers have started work. They've come back to post and they are cooking for their kids. Any moment from now. We've also visited some of the schools in the rural areas and then some of the urban areas too. We've spoken to school authorities on the matter where they are telling us that it was quite unfortunate when the strike was in process, where students were not really coming to school. We saw a low attendance today since we boycotted cooking for the people. But as we speak, we can see that some of the caterers have started coming back to the schools, but not fully. We can record about 30% of caterers in some of these busy schools.
What are the authorities and even the school children themselves, what are they saying about this?
These school children who, unfortunately, we couldn't get them on camera or get their voice, but you could see that it was very, very worrying for some of them because most of these students depend on these foods or these meals that are being prepared for them in the basic schools. When we spoke to their headmaster, he told us that some of these students around the communities mostly come to school because of the food that is being prepared for them. So if these meals are being halted and they are not being prepared anymore, definitely we will record low attendance in various schools. And that is what we saw today, low attendance, even when caterers are coming in gradually.
Have you been able to reach the school feeding secretariat to get some explanations?
After yesterday, we realized they had a press conference talking about intimidation, not going to be any cause for them to come back to work. And as at yesterday and then today, they have not really said anything about resuming. So it was quite surprising when we got to realize that some of them are still have come to post. So we were even asking questions about that. But they have said that they will not resume fully. So if we go to some of the schools and then we see some caterers at post, that means that it's a gradual process. But they are still demanding the unpaid arrears and then also the increase in grants. Up until that is done, they are not going to come back to schools, to the basic schools completely. And then even when we spoke to the leader of the association just this afternoon, she was saying that all those caterers in the various schools that we witnessed are going to withdraw their work as soon as possible.
Nana Abuashiri is in Kumasi, and he's been reporting on the impact of the absence of caterers in our schools. All attempts to get the school feeding secretariat to speak to it has proved futile. We'll definitely bring you as and when we get them to speak. Now, also...